From the moment Naoya Inoue first laced up his gloves, the boxing world could sense that something special was emerging. He was quiet outside the ring, unassuming even, but when the bell rang, he transformed into something entirely different. A precise, ruthless, and unstoppable force of nature. His power didn't come from brute strength, it came from perfection. Every movement was calculated, every shot deliberate. He wasn't fighting to win, he was fighting to dominate. That's how he earned his nickname, the Monster. Across the ring from him stood a fighter who knew all about the struggle of rising through the ranks without the spotlight. T.J. Doheny, the proud Irishman with a deep fighting spirit, had walked a longer, harder road to the top. He wasn't born into fame or handed big opportunities. He built his career brick by brick, taking fights across Australia, Japan, and beyond, often far from home, and slowly earned a reputation as one of the toughest men in the super bantamweight division. His crowning moment came in 2018, when he captured the IBF world title. It was the culmination of years of perseverance, a testament to grit and discipline. And now, standing across from Inoue, he had a chance to climb the mountain once again. There was no trash talk between the two. No bad blood. Just mutual respect between two world-class fighters who knew exactly what they were up against. But make no mistake, beneath the polite bows and handshakes, tension simmered. Both men understood what was at stake. Every punch thrown that night would carry the weight of legacy. For Inoue, it was about continuing his dominance, proving again that he wasn't just a champion but one of the greatest of his era. For Doheny, it was about defying the odds and showing the world that he could bring down the monster. When the lights dimmed and the fighters made their walk to the ring, the atmosphere was electric. The crowd in Japan understood what they were about to witness. Inoue had been on a tear, knocking out elite fighters, collecting belts across multiple weight classes, and looking almost untouchable in the process. But Doheny's camp believed they saw holes in his game. They had studied the tapes, looking for any crack in the armor. They believed Inoue could be timed, that his aggression could be used against him, that if TJ stayed composed and sharp, he might just find the opening that others had missed. As the first bell rang, both men circled cautiously. Inoue, as always, used the opening round to gather data, to make reads on his opponent's rhythm, his reactions, and his habits. He moved his feet lightly, his guard high, his jab flicking out like a measuring tool. Doheny, meanwhile, didn't back down. He matched Inoue's pace, threw his jab with conviction, and looked to establish the straight left early. The Irishman's composure was clear. He wasn't here to survive. He was here to compete. In those opening rounds, the exchanges were crisp and tense. Doheny's feints were clever. He moved his upper body, drew Inoue's counters, and fired back to the body with precision. Inoue responded with his trademark right hand to the midsection, testing Doheny's defense and forcing him to react. It was chess at full speed, two fighters thinking and attacking simultaneously. Inoue's eyes never left his target, even when he stepped back. Every movement from Doheny was being recorded and stored away for later use. That's how the monster operates. He studies you while he's fighting you. As the second and third rounds unfolded, it became clear that Doheny was no pushover. He landed solid left hands, countered well, and showed a high boxing IQ. Inoue's aggression was slightly tempered. He respected what he was seeing in front of him. Doheny's tricky southpaw angles and constant movement made it difficult for Inoue to let his hands go freely. The Irishman wasn't just surviving, he was frustrating the champion. Still, Inoue's patience never wavered. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was setting traps, forcing Doheny into patterns that he could exploit later. Then came the fourth round, and with it, the shift in momentum. Inoue began to step forward with more authority, cutting off the ring and backing Doheny up. His jab was sharper, his right hand landed more frequently, and the trademark bodywork started to pile up. You could hear the thud of those shots echoing through the arena, each one sinking into Doheni's ribs, sapping his energy. Doheny fired back bravely, digging to the body himself, but Inoue's power was beginning to tell. Every time they traded, the Japanese champion's punches seemed to land heavier, sharper, and more decisively. By the fifth round, Inoue's rhythm was in full flow. His head movement was subtle but effective, his combinations fluid. He was now walking Doheny down, controlling the distance, and mixing up his attack beautifully. Jab to the head, right hand to the body, left hook upstairs. Doheny showed heart and skill, slipping some punches and countering when he could, but he was being forced into a fight that suited Inoue perfectly. The monster thrives in these moments, when he senses his opponent beginning to fade. Inoue's defense during these rounds was something to behold. For all his power, his ability to block, roll, and deflect punches often goes underappreciated. Doheny landed clean shots here and there, but many of his combinations were caught on the gloves or slipped just outside range. Inoue was fighting with calm precision, the kind of composure that only comes from experience at the highest level. And then, suddenly, the first truly punishing body shot landed flush. A perfectly timed right hand to the liver. Doheny froze for a split second. You could see the pain wash over him. He tried to step away, to regroup, but Inoue had already sensed the damage. The predator was closing in. The sixth round was all Inoue. His punches were flowing, his movement light, and his confidence absolute. The tempo of his offense rose, but there was still that trademark discipline. Never reckless, always controlled. He began alternating between levels, digging to the body before coming back up top with a straight right. Doheny's responses were slower now, his guard dropping just slightly each time he absorbed another thudding shot to the ribs. The commentators began to note it. Inoue had found his rhythm, and when that happens, there's rarely a way back for his opponents. Yet, even as the punishment accumulated, T.J. Doheny continued to show the heart of a champion. He kept firing combinations, kept moving, and kept trying to find the timing that could turn the tide. That's what separates great fighters from good ones, the refusal to surrender even when the tide is against you. Doheny's courage was undeniable. But courage alone couldn't stop the inevitable. As the seventh round began, Inoue looked almost serene. He was smiling between exchanges, bouncing lightly on his toes, in complete control of the pace. He had dismantled Doheny's rhythm and was now dictating every moment of the fight. His right hand found its home again and again, crashing through the guard, followed by another body shot that sent a visible shudder through Doheny. The Irishman tried to pivot away, to regain some control, but Inoue was cutting off every angle with surgical precision. His offense was a blur, 1-2 to the head, left hook to the body, then back upstairs. Every shot had a purpose. The difference between the two was now painfully clear. Inoue's power was the great equalizer, the constant threat that forced Doheny to hesitate even when he saw openings. And hesitation is fatal against a fighter like Inoue. He doesn't waste those moments. Each second you pause, he lands another clean shot. As the round wore on, the air was thick with tension. The crowd knew what was coming. Then, on the eighth, it arrived. Inoue stepped in with a perfectly timed body shot that folded Doheny once more. The sound of leather against flesh was brutal, and Doheny's reaction was immediate. His body tensed, his face contorted in pain, and for a moment, it looked like he might go down. Somehow, through sheer willpower, he stayed on his feet. But Inoue didn't let him breathe. He pressed forward, unleashed a flurry to the head, and then dropped another devastating shot to the midsection. Doheny fell to the canvas, gasping, his face a mask of determination and agony. The referee began the count as the crowd roared. Doheny pushed himself up, refused to quit, but the look in his eyes told the story. He was running on heart alone. Inoue, calm and relentless, went straight back to work once the action resumed. Another combination, right hand, left hook, body shot, and Doheny went down again. The pain was too much, the precision too perfect. It wasn't reckless destruction, it was clinical, methodical dissection. The monster had done it again. When the referee finally waved it off, the crowd erupted. Another dominant, destructive victory for Naoya Inoue. Another world-class opponent taken apart piece by piece. TJ Doheny had given everything he had, showing courage and toughness that earned him respect from everyone watching, but it wasn't enough. Against Inoue, very few things ever are. As Inoue raised his gloves in victory, there was no arrogance in his celebration. Just quiet satisfaction. This was a man at the peak of his powers, performing with purpose. Every fight, every defense, was another brushstroke on the canvas of his legacy. For Doheny, there was pride even in defeat. He had faced one of the greatest fighters of his generation and had stood his ground for as long as any man could. What makes Naoya Inoue so extraordinary isn't just his knockout power or his hand speed. It's the way he blends those gifts with discipline, patience, and precision. His offense is devastating, but it's built on defense. His aggression is tempered by intelligence. He's a complete fighter in every sense, a rare blend of talent and mastery. And perhaps most impressively, he continues to evolve. Every time he steps into the ring, he looks sharper, faster, and more complete. He's not just dominating his division, he's redefining what dominance looks like. By the end of that night, the conversation among fans and analysts wasn't about whether Naoya Inoue was one of the best fighters in the world. That question had already been answered. The new question was whether he might be one of the best fighters of all time. Pound for pound, few could match his blend of technique, timing, and power. His body of work, across multiple weight divisions, spoke for itself. Each opponent had brought a different challenge, and each had fallen the same way, methodically broken down, left in awe of his brilliance. Doheny's challenge was real, his performance commendable, but Inoue had once again shown that there are levels to greatness. He wasn't just beating opponents, he was dismantling them. And yet, despite his dominance, he never lost the humility that defined him. Always respectful, always professional, always focused on improving. That's part of what makes him special. The hunger never fades. When the lights dimmed and the crowd's cheers echoed through the arena, Inoue stood there, calm, composed, the belts gleaming under the lights. The monster had struck again. Another night, another masterpiece. For the fans, it was a reminder that they were witnessing something rare, a generational talent at the height of his powers. For the rest of the boxing world, it was another warning. As the competition grows tougher, Inoue only grows stronger. In the end, Naoya Inoue's greatness isn't defined by one fight or one moment. It's defined by consistency, by his relentless pursuit of perfection, and by his ability to make even elite fighters look ordinary. TJ Doheny fought bravely, landed his shots, and showed world-class skill, but against Inoue, that simply wasn't enough. Because when the monster is in his rhythm, when his timing is locked in, and when that body attack starts to flow, there's not much any man can do. So as the crowd dispersed and the lights went out, one truth remained clear. Naoya Inoue is not just one of the best boxers in the world today. He's one of the best we've ever seen. Every fight he gives us is another chapter in a story that feels destined for greatness. And while fans continue to debate who he should fight next, one thing is certain. Whoever steps into the ring with him next will be facing something far more than a man. They'll be facing the monster.